Hey YouTube, Leah back again with another video. This time coming on here with something a little different for my channel. I am doing a foundation review. Now, I was very much so inspired by Brandy Lofton's channel. If you guys aren't familiar with her, I've been subscribed to her forever now, and I love her videos. And she started doing a foundation series, which at first I thought she was doing kind of newer foundations because I saw her do the L'Oreal Total Coverage foundation, which is something I haven't seen in stores yet. And so I was like, oh yeah, but then she was doing like the Giorgio Armani and all the other foundation reviews, and I was like, I have a crap ton of foundations. I am a foundation hoarder. I love foundations and eyeshadow palettes. Those are my two favorite go-to things, and I'm like, I have a lot of them as well, and I've never thought about doing kind of a foundational review on a foundation that's been out for a while. But then I thought about it. It's very smart because one, you're telling people about foundations that have been out forever and that people probably have been sleeping on and they shouldn't be. Two, you can tell people about inexpensive foundations, foundations that, again, they're not expensive, so people probably have been sleeping on them. Another thing, I have so many foundations, I should be talking about them. I shouldn't just be sitting over there collecting dust. I should be pulling out some and consistently letting people know what I think about them. And four, I think that if you guys are someone who has maybe the same skin type or skin tone as me, it can be very helpful if you're not one of those people who wants to go into the store and open a foundation and try it out. Maybe you guys can look at me, see kind of the foundations that I like or that work well for my skin tone, my skin complexion, and before going into the store and opening it up, maybe you can purchase sight unseen. I wouldn't, highly suggest that for higher end foundations where you can clearly test them out, but for some lower end foundations like the ones I'll be talking about today, the Revlon Colorstay, if you see them in stores and you see a shade, sometimes with drugstores you don't see your exact shade match because the shades don't always match people perfectly. But if you see a shade and that's maybe a little darker and a little lighter and you can kind of mix them together and do what I did, that works perfect too. So without further ado, let's get into my review of the Revlon Colorstay. First, I'll apply it and all that, and then you'll see a little bit later on how I feel about it after a couple hours of wear. If you're familiar with my hair reviews, then you know I like to do initials and then final reviews. So stay tuned. So don't mind my hair, don't mind how I look right now. As I said in the intro, I'm using a combination of the caramel and the toast shades to kind of come up with my perfect shade match. Like this, I just felt like caramel was too dark and toast was kind of too light. So I think combined they're perfect. I'm going to use more so toast in the lighter areas of my face, around here, at my top, and then caramel around the outer edges of my face. I'm going to use my beauty blender. Of course, it is very damp right now. And then for primer, I'm going to use the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. Now, I wanted to use this primer just because I feel like it's a well-rounded primer for all my applications. I kind of switch around between like strobe cream and just different kind of primers, baby skin, all that stuff. But I think Smashbox is a very much so universal kind of primer. So that's the one I will be using today. I'm going to prime my primer first. So now I am applying the foundation to my face, and like I said, I'm applying toast to the lighter areas and I'm going to apply caramel to the darker areas. Now I'm applying a lot because I realize it does take a lot for foundation to apply on camera, so I'm going for a very, very full coverage. But like I said, it's very medium to full, so you do not have to apply at all as much as I did. I think you can get away with probably 2 pumps for an everyday look, and that's about how much I used every day this week. So just to kind of go over a couple of claims that the Revlon website says about the Colorstay foundation, it does say that it is a flawless matte finish for up to 24 hours. It comes in 22 beautiful long-wearing shades. It's buildable to full coverage. It contains salicylic acid to balance skin over time. It's oil free and it has SPF 15. And I didn't realize that SPF part until reading the site. I know it says on the bottom it does contain SPF, but I kind of just overlooked that. But that's good to know just in case you don't want to pair a sunscreen with your foundation. So for my initial impression, I'm going to say it looks very dewy when I first put it on. Now, I've worn this foundation for this complete week, so I've kind of played around with it with different primers and all that. And I will say that each time I did it, it does have a very kind of wet look about it. And it definitely does settle in. For me, I have dry skin, as I've said it in the beginning, but I am using the combination oily foundations. Now, they also do have the one for normal and dry skin. I just did not love it as much. I do have it, and the distinction between the two is the normal and dry skin has the white lid, the oily to combination has the black lid. This is what it looks like. So yeah, I am going to go ahead, do the rest of my face, and then come back and tell you after I've done my hair, my face, and after it's kind of wore in for a little bit, I'll tell you a little bit about how I'm liking it or what I'm seeing with it. So this is kind of how it looks after a couple of hours. I've applied it not too long ago. It was about 2 hours ago. I filmed some other stuff and then I came back on here for this. I like this foundation. Now, I picked them up. Target was having a kind of Cyber Monday, or was it Black Friday? Was it having a Black Friday kind of week where a lot of things were on sale? Beauty was 20% off. So normally it was like $8.69 for a bottle, and then I got actually 3 of them. So it was a lot cheaper than it normally was. In Target and Walmart, drugstore, foundation, concealers, every kind of product is normally cheaper than it is at a CVS, Walgreens, all of that. I don't know why it's so jacked up there, but it's a lot more expensive. So if you guys are gonna try drugstore, I definitely would prefer anyone or suggest anyone to go to Target and Walmart. Ulta sometimes does have, you know, great sales too. They have a buy one get one 50 all the time. I always get, you know, $3.50 off. I don't go to Ulta unless I have a coupon, if that makes sense. So I kind of wrote down some things, how I feel about this foundation. So don't mind me if I look down. I think it has a very matte to satin finish, and this is coming from a girl who is very much so a dry person. I should not love matte stuff, but I'm loving kind of how this has, it gives me a matte, very much so airbrush finish. I've worn this, like I said, all throughout this week, and each day this week it has provided me with a very much so airbrushed look. No matter what applicator I used, whether I used the brush, whether I used the sponge, whether I used any kind of applicator, it very much so gave me the same airbrushed look. I think this is something I would wear if I'm going somewhere and I need to not look slick at all. I need to look the same as when I get there to when I leave, no matter whether I'm there for 4 hours, 8 hours, how many ever hours I'm at a place, and I want a foundation that's going to stay and look good consistently throughout the day. I think this is a go-to foundation. Now, like I said, I picked up the combination oily as well as the normal and dry version. I do not like the normal to dry version. If you're normal to dry skin, I would skip out on that. I don't see any additional benefits to that. I don't think in the stores the normal to dry foundations even have a great amount of shade range. I was able to get the combination oily both in toast and caramel, but in the store I could only find normal to dry in caramel. So they didn't even have a toast counterpart to this. So I think in the store, at least the store that I'm going to, normal to dry is not as fully stocked in the darker shades as it should be. So don't see additional benefit. I tried the normal to dry at least one day this week, was put off by it for that day. I was like, it's not doing anything different. It's not hurting the situation, but I think if a product's gonna say it's gonna do something different than a combination oily, it should really actually do something different. I think I researched it, and the only thing different between the normal to dry, the combination oily, is that they have an oil in this one a little bit, and they don't have the same oil in that one, but it gave me the same kind of finish. So I wanted to stick to the combination oily since I had both shades that I could mix together. I think that I would say it would give a medium to full coverage. Definitely more so leaning on the medium side. It can get full if you apply a lot more of the product on, of course. If that's with any product, it's very buildable. So yeah, going on with one initial kind of thin coat, it can be very medium coverage, but if you apply more, it can definitely give you a much fuller look. Another thing, it does last all day. It does have very strong lasting power. Like I said, it says 24-hour wear on here. No one ever in the history of foundation is ever going to wear a foundation for 24 hours in a normal setting unless they're really trying it out to see if it is. You shouldn't sleep in foundation anyways, just because it's quote unquote ages you, so they say. So yeah, it didn't last 12 hours, but I did on the days that I wore it this week. I go to work and I get ready for work about 8. I come home and take my makeup off around, well, I come home at 5, but I don't take my makeup off until maybe like 7. So that's almost 16 hours of wear, 15 hours of wear, and it's, you know, it wore the whole day. So yeah, it definitely gives you a good long amount of wear. I can't speak to the 24-hourness of it, but like I said, it definitely gives you a good air. It does not oxidize at all. The color that I think you put on is the color that it is throughout the day, so you don't have to really worry about your foundation kind of switching up on you and you looking a different way throughout the day. I think this foundation is consistent, which I love. The one drawback or con that I do have to this is that it does settle into your fine lines at the end of the day. I have expression lines, so it does settle into my kind of expression lines. Even when I do set it, I'm in this new phase. I think Jackie on YouTube, she had a video posted recently where you can how you can apply makeup without it kind of settling into your fine lines, and I think Manny MUA also has a similar video too. They both have videos where it kind of shows you if you are somebody who has I guess smile lines, how to set your makeup in a way in which you don't have those smile lines, which was a good video. So I definitely suggest you watch those videos if you guys get a chance and you guys suffer from the same thing I do. But this foundation does settle into them, I've noticed, and it settles into them very quickly, even if I do kind of try to set it. So that's one thing you're going to be aware of, that if you have kind of fine lines, it will settle into them. But other than that, I don't have any really cons on this. I love that it has a pump now. If it did not have a pump, it would definitely go down a few notches on my favorites list. I'm just being upfront about this. Pouring, you waste a lot of product. Pumping, I think you always get an exact match, at least the way I pump it. I pump it directly on my face, so no product is going I guess unused. But yeah, I definitely love this foundation. Definitely suggest. I definitely would give it you know, a lot of stars, especially for it being drugstore. If you guys have any questions, make sure you leave them down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.